IEEE members are pursuing that knowledge and working daily to advance technology to benefit humanity. Presently, we serve almost 430,000 members who are engineering and computing professionals working in business, academia, and government in more than 160 nations and on every inhabited continent. Our members here in Kenya founded an IEEE section nearly a generation ago. Today it is one of the most robust and active in Africa. Many engineering and technology professionals in Kenya are doing some incredible work, expanding the profile of professional engineering, and it is a success story that has benefited fellow professionals both inside and outside Kenya's borders. We have come to Africa, and in particular to Kenya, to observe, listen, and learn more about how IEEE can contribute to building engineering capacity and a future workforce of innovative and contributing professionals. Our organization's strength is its breadth and depth, from microwaves and antennas to electrical power grids, to education, to computers and telecommunications, and our people are leaders in the field. All of Africa, including here in Kenya, is poised for tremendous strides in ICT and all technology-related areas. It's an exciting time for Kenya, a time of great promise and possibility, and if IEEE can play a role in helping Kenya to maximize these possibilities, we welcome the opportunity. The mission of IEEE is a simple one, and it guides the work of our members and volunteers, advancing technology for the benefit of humanity. This means inspiring students' interests in engineering, as well as computing and technology. It means getting them into the lab to exchange ideas and try out new approaches. It means working with professionals and leaders within the power engineering sector to ensure that today's power distribution grids are not just intelligent, but also adaptable and robust. It means using our global network of professionals to find and share best innovations, no matter where or from whom they originate. Our mission, in short, is about people. Like the whole of Africa, Kenya's future is bright. The primary reason for this is its people. We have been inspired by our Kenyan colleagues and by what we have seen and experienced in country for the past few days. IEEE looks forward to evaluating ways in which we can support Kenya's growth, and at a minimum, we look to build on the long tradition of activities of IEEE in the country, thanks to the dedicated volunteer work of the Kenya section. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now take questions from members of the press.
My name is Margaret. I wanted to find out, we've had many innovations in the country and the biggest challenge.
When you say students, I think immediately of education. And the way we can inspire students and support them is to support the educational process. And that's something that in our discussions in the last 2 days, we have talked to academics and we have talked to people in business. And it's clear that education is a main priority of moving forward. We need more students for the workforce, and we need inspired students to become leaders in the industry as they come through the universities. And Matt, you might want to say a word about the foundation.
Well, In terms of connecting, I think there's two answers to connecting students' innovations with the possibility of scaling them. One is that I mentioned in my comments that was actually launched in Rwanda that has now evolved into a business. And the funding is not a lot, but it's enough to get something started. But perhaps even more important than that is what the IEEE community can provide to those students through networking and mentoring, because through that networking it provides opportunities to connect with people who are interested in collaborating and also helping to build out ideas that typically a student or a young professional might not have that depth of contacts in order to make those things happen. So I think that is really the bigger benefit that IEEE can provide, is the connections to people who can help with those kinds of things.
And I can add to that comment. In addition to the IEEE Foundation and the resources that it has, the largest resource that IEEE has, of course, is our 430,000 members across the globe. And as you may be aware, we have the Engineering Students Exhibition that we've been hosting here in Kenya for the last 14 years. And last year we had an example of a situation such as this one that came up. One of the students that came to the event had an innovation that was, according to the judges, worthy of going commercial, but the student did not have the resources to actually start that enterprise. Now, by taking part in that enterprise, in our innovation and the exposure that we provided for that event at that venue, that company, then it wasn't a company, it's called eGalaxy. That company now has actually received the resources that it required, and is now actually a commercial venture that is happening here in Kenya.
Excellent.
The issue of demand, given that the fact that we are living in a much more technologically advanced society, I just look at a corresponding increase in the demand for engineers, and also what the supply is probably globally.
I blanked out on the first question.
Go for the second one first.
Okay, so while I try to remember what you said for the first question, the women in engineering, of course, everything is local. So if I tell you what happens on average, it doesn't mean it's happening here. So the average percentage of women in engineers with respect to the total population of IEEE members is in the order of 15%, and it's rising slowly every year, which isn't too bad. It doesn't come close to being representative of the population, but we're making progress, and we're very aware that we need to do work continually. First question. The question was about the demand for engineers, and again, that's a local issue. It's as we go around and visit other parts of the globe, we see a wide variation. What's common, I think, is the fact that while engineers may be being produced at the proper rate for industry, they're not being produced, in many cases, with the proper training to do industry jobs. So in India, for example, companies will hire graduates knowing that they can't do the work, and they have internal schools to help develop that person so that they can handle the workload. It seems that education is the number one issue here in Kenya, and so we have talked to a number of groups, and we had a very good discussion yesterday with professors from the universities of Kenya, and have a lot of ideas for how to move forward to improve the education process in Kenya. And I think IEEE can help in that regard, and we're we're ready to do so.
Okay,
Can I
thank
add
you.
something?
Yes, I'd like to add on to the piece on women participation in engineering. It is an issue that has been brought to us, highlighted within the Kenya section, and especially during the last year, we were challenged multiple times. And what we have actually done is that we've taken advantage of the resources that the IEEE has available, because within IEEE we have a special affinity group known as Women in Engineering. It's the IEEE WIE. And through the efforts of our lady volunteers within IEEE Kenya section, we have actually submitted a petition to form a chapter of women, IEEE Women in Engineering in Kenya, which will actually help us to drive initiatives that will support the participation of more women in the engineering profession.
If I could add just 2 quick points. One on the women issue is just one other thing to note is that actually enrollments of women in engineering programs actually are pretty good. The real challenge is actually enabling women to stay in the profession, getting them to stay in the profession, where a lot of the issues come down to oftentimes women wanting to take time off for family, and the rapid change of the technologies make it difficult to come back into the workforce. But things that IEEE and other women advocacy organizations are working on, taking advantage of the technologies of online education to find alternatives so that women, while they are taking time off, can keep up and actually come back into the workforce as if they had never stepped aside. The second point is on education of engineers. One other interesting thing that we talked with the cross-section of professors that we met with yesterday was encouraging institutions to collaborate more, because there are not enough professors to do the teaching that's necessary. And when that's the case, it takes a long time to get people to the level of being a professor or lecturer. So I think there are some opportunities to rethink how education happens. I mean, one is increasing collaborations among institutions to leverage the talent of all institutions. And the second is to also, again, think about opportunities to leverage online learning and things called massively online, open online courseware, which allows professors in the US or Australia or the UK or Europe to actually record their lessons and then share them in places where there might not be that subject matter expertise available. So I think this is something that, particularly here, I think there will be a lot of evaluation of these new opportunities, because it could accelerate the process as well as perhaps even enhance the way engineering education happens.
That sounds like a good bet. As I said, we're here to learn. And so we're trying to understand what the issues are. I think there will be some sort of collaboration that that comes as a result. Depends. And it depends on what kind of business IEEE needs to do in the region. We don't have many physical offices throughout the world, maybe 4 or 5. And those have been put in the locations because we see the need right now to start doing business. And most of the time these are offices that handle standards activity in the regions. But this comes after the collaboration, after the plans, and after we get going.